Hi, hello, how are you all? Welcome to my channel Law Made Simple with me Vidya Reddy. Today, in the series of Law of Taxation, let us learn what is capital gains, what are short-term capital gains, what are long-term capital gains, and how are they calculated. So, let's get started. So, most of them are saying that I am just simply reading, but what I have written is in a simple language which can be read, and if you are thoroughly concentrating, it can be easily understand. So, let's get move to the topic. Simply to put, any profit or gain that arises from the sale of a capital asset is a capital gain. Simple, right? Any profit or gain from a capital asset is a capital gain. So this gain or a profit comes under the category of income. Obviously, if somebody has a house to rent, if he is getting rent on monthly basis, then that is his income. And you will need to pay tax for that amount in the year in which the transfer of capital asset takes place. If there is a transfer of that asset, then he has to pay the tax for that kind of capital asset. So then this is called capital gains tax, which can be a short term or a long term. So that capital which you are having an asset on which you are getting a rent or some other income, then that kind of tax is called capital gains tax. So this tax can be a short term capital tax or long term capital asset tax. Okay. So the income tax has specifically exempted assets received as gifts by way of inheritance or will. However, if a person who inherited the asset decides to sell, then the capital gains tax will be applicable. So, if it is inherited and only the transfer of ownership happens, then income tax has specifically exempted such kind of assets. So, coming to the defining of capital assets. Any land, building, house property, vehicles, patents, trademarks, leasehold rights, machinery and jewelry are few examples of capital assets. We all know. This includes right or in relation to an Indian company. So all these capital assets, whether they are in India or in relation to an Indian company, all these are capital assets which includes capital gains tax in India. It also includes the rights of management or control or any other legal right. And these are the things which do not come under capital asset. What are they? Any stock, consumables or raw materials held for the purpose of business or profession, personal goods such as clothes, furniture held for personal use, agricultural lands in rural India, and 6.5% gold bonds according to 1977 or 7% gold bonds according to 1980 or national defense gold bonds according to 1980 issued by the central government, and gold deposit bonds issued under the gold deposit scheme 1999 or deposit certificates issued under the gold monetization scheme 2015. All these are excluded from the capital assets. So let us get deep into what are the types of capital assets. As we said, it is a short-term capital asset and long-term capital asset. An asset is a short-term capital asset when it is held for a period of 36 months or less. Okay, and the criteria of 36 months have been reduced to 24 months for immovable property such as land, building and house property from this financial year 2017 to 18. And for instance, if you sell a house property after holding it for a period of 24 months, that is as per this law which is enacted 2017 and 18, it is a period of 24 months only. It is a short-term capital asset. But if it is more than that, any income arising will be treated as long-term capital gain provided under the property if it is sold after 31st March 2017. So short-term capital asset is an asset which is holding for a period of 36 months or less. Okay, and it has been reduced in the financial year 2017 to 18 to 24 months. Coming to long-term capital asset, an asset is held for more than 36 months is a long-term capital asset, and this reduced period mentioned as before 24 months is not applicable to movable properties. Movable properties are like jewelry, debt-oriented mutual funds. This will be classified as long-term capital assets only if they are held more than 36 months as earlier. Some assets are considered to be short-term capital assets when these are held for a period of 12 months or less. What are those? This rule is applicable if the date of transfer is after 10th July 2014 only. Okay, and what are these assets? Equity or preference shares in a company listed in a recognized stock exchange in India. Securities like debentures, bonds, government securities listed in a recognized stock exchange in India. Units of UTI, whether quoted or not quoted. So in simple terms, short-term capital assets means for asset holding less than 36 months in short or 24 months for immovable property or less. And for long-term capital assets, it should be more than 36 months. And if they are if the movable properties, they are considered as short-term if they are holding 12 months or less. So some of the examples I have mentioned: equities, shares, debentures, gold bonds, etc. We have other examples of long-term capital assets. Those are units of equity-oriented mutual funds, whether quoted or not quoted, zero coupon bonds, whether quoted or not quoted. So all these are long-term capital assets. So when these listed assets are held for a period of more than 12 months, they are considered to be a long-term capital assets. In case of an asset, if it is acquired by gift or will or succession or inheritance, the period for which the asset was held by a previous owner is also included when determining whether it is a short-term or long-term capital asset. So if any asset is acquired by gift or will or by succession or inheritance, and then the period for which the asset was held by the previous owner should be calculated, and it is determined whether it is a short-term or long-term capital asset. In case of bonus shares or right shares, the period of holding is counted from the date of allotment of bonus shares or right shares. So now we have understood what are short-term capital assets and what are long-term capital assets. Let us understand how to calculate them. To calculate short-term capital gains, we have to start with full value of consideration. How much is the value? Deduct some of them, like expenditure incurred wholly and exclusively in connection with such transfer, cost of acquisition, cost of improvement. So the property, on first we have to consider the full value of the property, and we have to deduct how much it is, how much there is an expenditure in connection with the transfer, how much is there, how much is the cost for acquisition, and how much you have put for the cost of improvement. All these are deducted, and then the third step is nothing but the full value consideration expenses incurred exclusively for such transfer, and less cost of acquisition or cost of improvement is nothing but short-term capital gain. Coming to the calculation of long-term capital gains, again we have to start with the full value of consideration, and we have to deduct same thing: expenditure incurred wholly and exclusively in connection with such transfer, indexed cost of acquisition and indexed cost of improvement. So the cost of acquisition and cost of improvement may slightly vary, and those are deducted, and then we get the value of how much is the long-term capital gain. As such, we have come to the end of the session. It's riddle time. Please answer the riddle in the comment section. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.